So what if the next giant leap in AI doesn't lead to some kind of utopia, but to a, well, booming dystopia? Today we're going to walk through a really plausible step-by-step scenario that's based on a report that's got a lot of people in the AI industry talking. It's called the intelligence curse. And you know what? It all kicks off with one simple business decision.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. A new AI company comes to you, and they've got a pitch. They say, we have an AI agent that can do the work of a junior employee for 1/5 of the cost. I mean, that's a pretty compelling offer, right? It promises efficiency like you've never seen. But as you might guess, there's a hidden cost.
So I really want you to put yourself in the corner office here. For just a minute, you're the CEO. The pressure is on big time. Your competitors, they're already jumping on this technology. So what do? What's your move? This one question, this one dilemma is what kicks off this whole scenario.
All right, so let's start with part one, the CEO's dilemma. This is all about what happens when good intentions and caution slam right into the brutal reality of competitive pressure.
So you decide to do the responsible thing, right? You start by treating the AI as just a tool. Everything it does has to get a human sign-off. But a problem pops up, and it pops up fast. The AI agents, they start outperforming pretty much everyone. Productivity goes through the roof, but your best human employees suddenly become, well, the ones who can click the approve button the fastest. And yeah, your board of directors, they notice. They love the new numbers, but they start looking at your human payroll and seeing it as this huge, unnecessary cost.
And here's where the real pressure comes in. Just look at this. At the end of the quarter, your company's earnings are up a solid 20%. I mean, in any normal year, that's fantastic. You'd be celebrating. But your competitor, the one who went all in and replaced their junior staff with AI, their earnings shot up 50%. They've got lower costs, they're grabbing market share, and what happens? Your stock price takes a nosedive. You're literally being punished by the market for being cautious.
And that, of course, leads to this moment. The board comes to you with an ultimatum. Either you get rid of the, and I'm quoting here, unproductive human staff, or they'll find a new CEO who will. So what do? You compromise. You fire half the junior staff. You tell yourself, hey, saving some jobs is better than saving none, right? And you hope, you just hope, that maybe one day you can hire them all back. Okay, so a decision made in a boardroom now has very real consequences out in the world. So let's shift our focus to the human cost of all this. We're going to meet someone named Alice, who's really the face of this huge wave of displacement.
And the pace of this change is just staggering. It's so fast. Just 1 month after that compromise, 90% of the junior staff that were left are gone. They just can't keep up with the AI's performance. Then 6 months later, it's the managers. Boom! 90% of them are fired, replaced by AI management systems. And by the end of just 1 year, even the C-suite, the top executives, are on the chopping block, with AI now running entire projects all on its own.
So Alice, who was one of the first people let go, starts looking for a new job. And what she finds is a really harsh new reality. The national unemployment rate is already hitting 12%. And just to put that in perspective, that's worse than the worst point of the Great Recession.
But it's not stopping there, not even close. As managers all over the country start getting replaced by AI, the unemployment rate just keeps climbing. Now it's past 15%. The whole problem is speeding up.
And then the unthinkable happens. Unemployment absolutely smashes through 25%. It breaks every single historical record we have, including the very darkest days of the Great Depression. Think about that. 1 out of every 4 people is out of a job. And this is the core paradox of the whole scenario. On the exact same day that unemployment hits a catastrophic 25%, the S&P 500, fueled by all these AI productivity gains, hits a new all-time high. The economy is booming like never before, but the people are not.
So this brings us to the big picture, the societal level. And it brings us to this idea of a booming dystopia. I mean, what does that even mean? It's a world where the country's economic growth is completely, totally disconnected from the well-being of its people.
So, you gotta ask, right? What can anyone do? Well, Alice turns to activism. She joins this big movement pushing for a universal basic income, UBI. But that idea gets shot down, and it gets shot down hard. The administration's AI czar basically says it's impossible, that it would eat up 2/3 of the entire federal budget. And this isn't a new argument, by the way. He was saying stuff like this back in mid-2025. The political will to help, it just isn't there.
So, with no political fix on the table, the crisis isn't really solved, it's managed. Protests like the ones Alice is in, they just get censored on social media as community guideline violations. Mainstream news, oh, they barely cover the mass unemployment. They're too busy diverting everyone's attention with celebrity gossip. And the why behind all this is pretty simple and pretty cynical. The politicians are now funded by the big AI companies and their owners. Their real constituents aren't the people anymore, it's the AI economy itself.
And the long-term fallout from this, it's grim. Think about it. Public schools start to crumble. Why fund them if there's no workforce to prepare the next generation for? The idea of upward mobility, of working your way up, that's just gone. What you're left with is a new, permanent class divide. The only people with any wealth are the ones who happen to own a lot of assets before this whole AI takeover started.
So, how on earth did we get here? Well, this whole disastrous chain of events is explained by a theory called the intelligence curse. And what's fascinating is that it's actually an old, familiar economic pattern. It's just been supercharged by a new and unbelievably powerful source.
Okay, first things first. To really get the intelligence curse, you have to understand something called the resource curse. This is a real-world thing, a known paradox. Just think of countries that are loaded with natural resources, like oil or diamonds, places like Venezuela or the Congo. On paper, the country is incredibly wealthy, but the people, they're often extremely poor. And you have to ask why? Well, it's because all that wealth gets extracted from the ground and flows directly into the hands of a tiny elite who control that one resource.
Okay, you see where this is going, right? The intelligence curse is the exact same idea, just updated for the 21st century. In this theory, artificial intelligence itself becomes the new natural resource. It acts just like oil or diamonds. It's a resource that generates an unbelievable amount of wealth, but all of that wealth gets concentrated in the hands of the very few people who own and control the AI. And this, right here, this is the most important point of the entire theory. So listen up. When a country's wealth comes from human labor, people working in factories, in offices, in creative studios, those people have bargaining power. They can unionize, they can demand better pay, better conditions. But when wealth is just extracted by an AI, the general population has zero leverage, none. They're no longer essential for creating value, and so all of their power just evaporates.
Which brings us to our final section, and it's a critical one. Our AI crossroads. Because here's the thing, this dystopian future, it's not inevitable. It's not a done deal. It all comes down to the specific kind of AI we choose to build and use. Because not all AI is created equal, not by a long shot.
So let's break this down. On one hand, you've got specialized AI like AlphaFold. It's amazing at one very specific thing, protein folding, and it's an incredible tool for scientists. Then you have something like a self-driving car. It's autonomous, sure, and it replaces one specific job, but it's not a threat to all jobs. The real danger, according to the theory, comes from general AI. We're talking about the big large language models, the LLMs you hear about constantly. Their stated goal isn't to be a tool for one job, their goal is to be good at everything, to replace all human labor, and that is a fundamentally different mission.
And so, that leaves us with one last big question to think about. The companies building these most powerful general AI systems, they've been pretty open about their goal. Their goal is to replace all human labor. So, as we're all standing here at this crossroads, we have to ask ourselves a very simple question. If that's their goal, what's ours?